Welcome to the Life and Breath speaker series. This evening, we'll be talking about the power of rituals, or maybe a little bit about the Life and Breath Foundation for those individuals that are joining us for the first time. And we're happy that we have an international audience that is going to be joining us this evening and everything. So just a little bit about the Life and Breath Foundation. My name is Sean Hall. I'm the president and founder of the Life and Breath Foundation. The foundation was created in 1998 in memory of my mother, Ida Hall, who actually had pulmonary sarcoidosis. She passed away in 1996, and after going over to Johns Hopkins here in Baltimore, Maryland, just found I wanted to do something in her memory and start the foundation. This year is our 22nd year. Fighting for patients, looking for ways that we can make their life easier, especially those that have to manage the chronic nature of the disease. So on the screen, you'll see our primary goals are to offer the sarcoidosis community effective tools to track their journey, decipher medical issues, and maximize the quality of life. We think it's also important to provide a nurturing environment for those affected by the disease so that they can share their story, share their challenges, and understand, more importantly, that they're not by themselves, that we are a group and a community that is there to help one another. And so then if we can build this awareness around our group and our community and the medical community, we can both together partner in this battle to alleviate this chronic disease. So again, a little bit about the Life and Breath Foundation. We're a volunteer-led organization. The money that we raise and receive through donations and sponsorships go directly to patients with sarcoidosis. Many of the things that we do to support the educational needs of those patients are hosting monthly speaker series, just as this evening. We also fund a Life and Breath Scholar Award, which is for physician education. We have 2 residents that are studying pulmonary diseases here in Baltimore, Maryland, that we're supporting. They're learning a little bit more about sarcoidosis, becoming ambassadors to be able to treat patients better. Also, we have a patient support from sarcoid experts throughout the country that we bring on, that we engage to be able to help answer questions and things of that nature. We also support scholarships and educational grants going forward also, both from the medical community and for patients. And then we are very excited to launch the Life and Breath Planner. More information about that you'll see on the website, our social media campaigns. But at the end of the day, we'd like for you to consider to support Life and Breath through donations. If you can do that, that would be great. But more, let's move on to our guest speaker this evening. Dr. Monisha Bhanote is a best-selling author. She's one of the few quintuple board-certified physicians in the nation. Have to find out a little bit more about that. She combines ancient wisdom with mind-body science to naturally biohack the human body through her expertise. And we're excited to be able to hear a little bit more about Dr. Bhanote. She's a recognized author. Has been mentioned and featured in Shape, Reader's Digest, Martha Stewart Living. We're happy to have her on this evening to be able to share elements of her latest book that has just come out, but more importantly, to talk about the rituals. So without further ado, Dr. Bhanote, welcome to the Life and Breath Foundation Speaker Series.
Thank you so much, Sean, and the Life and Breath Foundation for having me join you today to talk about my book, The Anatomy of Wellbeing, Intentional Practices to Embrace Your Body's Unique Design and Revitalize Your Health. So let me share my screen. Hopefully you can see that with no problem. All right, so Just a quick disclaimer here. All content in this presentation is created for educational and informational purposes only. It's not a substitute for professional medical advice, and always seek the guidance of your doctor. I am a doctor, but I am not your doctor, perhaps. So a little bit quick about me. I am a medical doctor. I have training in internal medicine, integrative medicine, anatomic clinical pathology, and cytopathology, functional medicine, and culinary medicine. That is a mouthful, but at the end of the day, what do I really do? I spend a lot of time taking care of my patients and integrating their mind, body, spirit, and helping their body work from as natural perspective as possible. And I do this through my medical practice, workshops, trainings, and in-person retreats. So with that, what I really wanted to share with you today, and the purpose of me really writing this book, The Anatomy of Wellbeing, is to remind you and to give you some control over your health that you may have passively given up. That's one thing that we don't think about, is how much control we have over our health. And even if we are dealing with health issues or some kind of chronic disease, including sarcoidosis, there are things that we can do that can impact it in a good way or in a negative way. So let's start there. So what to expect this evening? I want to talk to you about the difference between habits, routines, and rituals. I would like to talk to you about how rituals exactly work and how you might be able to apply them in your life and why you may want to apply them. And then we'll talk about some rituals in practice. So as a reminder, we know that 80% of chronic disease is driven by lifestyle factors. So that's a lot. So whether you are dealing with sarcoidosis or some of the other co-diseases that you might be experiencing, like heart disease, high blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes, they're really driven by lifestyle. And that's where you have some control over what you do every day, especially in your 24 hours of your day. So with that, what have we seen? We know it's very hard to change our habits. All of us have a certain amount of unhealthy habits that we are continuously trying to improve upon. In the past year, habits that have definitely increased and that 61% of Americans say they're trying to break is too much screen time. So spending a lot of time on their cell phones with their heads hunched over, which definitely is causing some tech neck and some mobility issues, and possibly even longstanding some breathing issues. So when I'm thinking about it from a sarcoidosis perspective, when your body is hunched over, you don't have that full capacity to breathe in that oxygen that you might be able to have with a more upright posture. Also, more people are citing poor eating habits, sleeping too much or too little, increased alcohol intake, neglecting their mental health, and a poor work-life balance. During this time, we've also seen some healthy habits come to play, which Americans are deciding that they want to try and keep. One of them being frequent hand washing. Another one being staying connected to friends and family. This past year or two has given people some time to connect where they weren't able to before. Eating more meals at home. 40% of people started eating meals at home. And that is really important because eating food outside, especially when it is fast food, processed food, has a high propensity to create inflammation in the body. And being that sarcoidosis is an inflammatory process, an autoimmune disease, that we want to keep inflammation at bay. Also, people found that they were spending more time outside, which is going to be beneficial. Some people did start prioritizing mental health. Keeping your home clean more frequently is also important, especially if you're dealing with respiratory issues from sarcoidosis. Increasing your home cleanliness and the possible allergens available out there will be beneficial. And then wearing face coverings in crowded areas are just some of the things that people started doing. Now, how do habits impact your health? Well, this is just a very broad overview. What do habits do? Well, they can possibly cause you to lose motivation, lose your potential. They definitely cause premature aging on the human body, really down on a cellular level, and they increase your risk of acquiring diseases. So I would love to hear in the chat if there is any bad habits that you're still working through, that you're hoping to change in the upcoming year, if there's something that you've been thinking about but just haven't quite made a plan for. Just throw a few bad habits into the chat so I can maybe see what you're going through, what you're experiencing. Let me open my chat first of all. All right. So maybe you are dealing with things like chronic pain, or you're dealing with things like just being exhausted for going to doctor's appointments, and your mental capacity and your mental bandwidth to handle all of this is challenging. So maybe that is something that you want to consider how to address. So how would we address that? Well, we might address that with something called self-care. So rather than self-care, I would like you to think of your body on a cellular level and think about self-care, because what you're doing there is you are proactively caring for your well-being by utilizing your knowledge and putting it into daily intentional lifestyle practices. And a result of these practices helps you maintain a healthy mind, body, and spirit throughout life. This is what's going to give you the power back to your health, is that you really focus proactively on the things that you can control. We know there are things that we can't control in life, but there are many, many that we can. So let's talk about what some of those might be. So habits. So what is the difference between habits, routines, and rituals? So with habits, I think it says the chat is disabled. So we want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to write in the chat. A habit is something that we might have an urge to do. It's triggered by a cue. It often leads to a reward. So I'm thinking of one habit that is definitely going to impact your health in a negative way. It's, you know, we all can fall into these because we tend to do these due to our daily rhythms of our life that we maybe build around fixtures like going to work. We build around fixtures like dropping the kids off to school. So certain fixtures that we have in life, and they're usually thoughtless. We're kind of doing these on autopilot. We're not really intentional with them. And then these thoughtless rhythms, what they tend to do is propel us more towards dis-ease. Now, fast food is one of those. You can imagine driving home from work, you're feeling tired, exhausted, you're hungry, and the last thing you are thinking about is coming home and preparing a meal. So what do? You see the golden arches, you head over through the drive-through, you pick up some fast food. Now, why would that not be the best choice for you? We all know that fast food is not really good for our health. And one of the things we do know, and we are learning more and more about, is fast food definitely causes inflammation in the body. All right, so, and there is a recent research has said that this type of inflammation, the one associated with fast food, is showing an increased rise in autoimmune diseases. Now, nothing has changed in our genetics per se in the last couple of decades, but what has changed is our availability of processed foods. and how quickly we can get them. So this has caused a rise in autoimmune conditions, all kinds of autoimmune conditions. One of them, obviously, would be sarcoidosis, right? And what it is fast foods lack certain ingredients. Besides the fact that they lack nutrients, vitamins, minerals, they also lack fiber. And when you do not get fiber in your diet, it affects your gut microbiome. When your gut microbiome is altered and not as healthy, it predisposes you to autoimmune diseases. So in order to heal your sarcoidosis, you have to make sure you have a healthy gut. So I would love to know how many of you guys are dealing with gut issues where you feel bloated after you're eating, or maybe constipated, or just not just feeling good after you eat. How many of you guys have experienced that? Yeah, definitely dealing with bloating and constipation, right? So that's where, all right, so now we want to think about some of the routines we might have in place. So routines would look like, it would be something like a deliberate practice, like you wake up and you brush your teeth, or you make your bed, and you're doing them with an understanding that they're ultimately going to make your life a little better. Or maybe you have a routine of going to the gym, or you have a routine of going traveling on the weekend, so you get to get out of the house. So whatever your routine is. The challenge with routines is that it might not correspond with what you need most in your life, right? So routines can make us feel stuck. We're going to the gym every day, or we're going to work every day. It can just make us feel like we're not living up to our full potential, and we're not really focusing on what we need most. And a negative routine will actually create a rhythm in your life that doesn't do much for your happiness or health. It's just a practice that you got used to doing. So this is where I want you to start thinking of the things you do in your daily lifestyle that you have the potential to start incorporating rituals into your daily lifestyle. Now, a ritual is an intentional practice that has a clear designed purpose behind it. It doesn't have short-term pleasure as its goal, like a habit usually does. Like we see the chocolate chip cookie, we go for it and we have the short-term pleasure, but we know it's not serving us well. So a ritual is definitely more intentional. It has the intent of healing your body. The goal is really long-term and global. And the benefit is that it's asking you to think about what is truly important to you in that day. What is important for you in your morning rituals? What is important for you in your evening rituals? What is important for you in your weekend rituals? What do you need to do? And this reminds you that you have the power to take your life in your own hand and make some changes. So you might be thinking, all right, well, what are some rituals that I might do as a sarcoidosis patient? So even before we talk about some examples for that, I want you to tell me, how intentional is your lifestyle today? Are you, do you have more habits than rituals? Do you have more rituals? How is your, like, as we become more self-aware of what we need and we become more intentional with our life, that's where we're placing in rituals. So yeah, so some people are saying that they start something and they're unable to stick with it. Like they'll start a routine and they can't keep it up. And so then you got to ask yourself, what is the routine I'm starting and why did I start it, right? What was the purpose behind it? Maybe you just started it because somebody told you, oh, do this because this is going to make you feel good, but it's tougher and more challenging than it has to be. So that's not really what a ritual is about. A ritual is really tuning into what your body needs most. And I want you to be really flexible with this. It's okay to be seasonal with it. So if you have a ritual of walking every day and now it's winter time and it's cold, well, guess what? You can switch that out. You don't have to go walking. Maybe there's a YMCA where you can go do some swimming. or you can do something else. So this is about understanding what our body needs and being as flexible as possible and not rigid. Because what happens is when we become rigid and then we fail at something, that affects our motivation. And then we give up because we have this mentality of going from 0 to 100. It's an all or nothing. And that's not a sustainable lifestyle. You have to be able to go with the ebbs and flows. And like I said, tune into your body. So rituals I was thinking of for sarcoidosis might look like something like a daily breathing practice. If you don't have a current daily breathing practice, I would really recommend thinking about where you might incorporate that. Like maybe in the morning as you start your day and the coffee pot is brewing, you just spend a few minutes doing the 4-7-8 breath while the coffee pot is making the coffee, right? So you can add that on. Another one to think about is daily hydration. So especially when you are taking medications which can cause you to feel dehydrated, what if you were to actually drink an entire full glass of water with your medication and not just take the medication, right? Because now you're doing something intentional for your health, for your body. So another one is when I'm thinking of some of the things that sarcoidosis patients might be experiencing, like chronic pain. All right, so pain is no joke. And I will tell you that people who are experiencing chronic pain also say that medication stopped working for them. So I'm gonna switch over to a quick slide that wasn't part of my presentation, but I wanna show this to you really quickly, just because I think it's an important part of thinking about chronic pain. And so one of the health issues that has a lot of chronic pain is fibromyalgia, okay? And fibromyalgia has overlap with other chronic pain conditions. Now, they have done enough studies to know, and this is why I feel like this relates really well to sarcoidosis, even though we may not have enough studies in sarcoidosis yet. I feel that it relates very well because what it tells us that two things, mind-body interventions in general are more effective than usual care on pain, okay? So they might include things like meditation, mindfulness, hypnosis, biofeedback, relaxation. So there are some things that you can learn to do to help with your pain. We also found that exercise can help with pain. Especially yoga. Yoga is beneficial to not only affect pain, but also fatigue and depression and quality of life. And especially if you're experiencing something where your body feels disabled. So I want you to keep that in mind, that there might be some things you haven't tried. And it doesn't mean you go to a 60-minute yoga class and you're like, I'm never going back again. You can do 2 minutes of yoga and gain benefit from it, or 2 minutes of breathing. It's more about the consistency and the daily improvement in your body. And really my goal for you is to do 1% better every day. So if every day you increase it 1%, imagine where you would be 365 days from now. Let me go back to where I was in this presentation. So I wanted you to really think about how intentional your life is, and we have some about 55% intentional. That's very specific. So that's good. Yeah. And I'm also seeing that some people are saying that stress breaks up their routine, right? So that's very common. When something bad happens for the day and then we can't seem to get ourselves back into a place where we feel like we're still continuing. So instead we go down that spiral. So that's where, thank you for putting that in the chat, because you guys just set me up for my next slide, which is emotional intelligence. So how many of you guys know what emotional intelligence is? You guys know what that means? Do you know what that refers to? Okay, so some of you have heard of it. All right. So emotional intelligence it's a skill that you can develop. And what this skill does is it allows you the ability to recognize, understand, and manage your emotions. Now, that sounds pretty important for us to be on this planet, to be able to manage our emotions, understand what's going on with our emotions. So if we are feeling sad one day, if we're happy one day, if we're in pain one day, if we're angry one day, how are we feeling these emotions? So what it allows you to do is understand that exactly what these are. These are emotions. And the first step in that is really becoming self-aware. And what are some techniques to become self-aware? Well, mindfulness, being present, can help increase your self-awareness. Doing breathing practices, getting in tune with when I'm breathing, where do I actually feel pain? Am I feeling pain in the back of my shoulders? Am I feeling it in my legs? Where exactly? So then you're becoming more in tune with your body. The other thing emotional intelligence allows us to do is one of the skills is self-regulation, social skills, empathy, and then intrinsic motivation. So I do talk more extensively about this in chapter 9 of my book, but I just wanted you to kind of realize that this is something that you can develop. And by developing it, it's going to help you deal with your health issues. Because for the person who said to me, I feel like I'm not motivated, this is where we determine where our intrinsic motivation is, because there has to be something coming from within as opposed to external. Because when we sometimes set goals, we're looking for external gratification, and we really need to turn inwards. So I thought, let me just mention that to you, because that is something to explore that most people don't talk about. And then benefits of rituals. So why do I like rituals so much? They help organize your day. The best thing about a day is when your day is as simple as possible, because you know, all right, this is what I'm going to do. This is what's going to happen. And when, you know, a hurricane comes in or an appointment gets canceled, of course, things happen, right? But we want to have ways to deal with that. And that's where having rituals can be important. They help optimize the day so that space is cleared in your brain for other things. It helps develop a deeper connection with yourself. And it really helps you identify an aim and a purpose. So once again, I would love to share here any rituals that you have started doing. If anybody has any practices or rituals, and I'll definitely get to more of the questions, but what is the difference once again between habits, routines, and rituals? Habits are for short-term pleasure. Think your chocolate chip cookie. It felt good going down. It did not feel good a couple hours later. Routines are for daily maintenance. They can be very beneficial, but you can get tired of flossing your teeth. You can get tired of making your bed. So not quite as exciting as maybe putting in a ritual in place. And that's for your long-term functional well-being. And what I mean by functional well-being is you are made up of thousands and thousands and thousands of cells. So we want to keep them healthy and happy. So when you are experiencing symptoms, whether that's bloating, constipation, pain, it is your body communicating with you. It is your cells talking to you. And I want you to listen to your cells and give your cells what they need, okay? And learning what they need. Like maybe you haven't tuned into, all right, when I eat this meal, I feel good. When I eat this, I don't feel good. And instead, you kind of keep going through that cycle because you're not paying attention to it. So what's the science behind this? Is there any science to rituals? Well, there's a little bit of science. I'm a science person, so I want to share how we can connect this to rituals. The first thing is someone does their laundry while they're brewing coffee every day. That's a lot of laundry every day, but it does help you stay on track. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing. And then, so the one thing about making changes from going from habits and being really intentional and purposeful with your life is understanding where you are in your stages of change and making positive changes in your life. So we have to acknowledge where we are. And there's 5 stages that we want to be aware of. So I'm going to give you an example of an individual that is not a sarcoid patient, but one that most people are probably familiar with. Maybe they have a family member who has gone through this and experienced this. So there is this man, Joe, and he went for his annual doctor's visit, and he was told by his doctor that he's pre-diabetic, all right? And that he needs to change his diet and improve his exercise habits. Now, Joe, at this appointment, he's really in this pre-contemplation stage where he's resisting this change. He hears the doctor and he goes home and he's like, whatever. And he just goes on with his life, right? So now he comes back a year later. He's still pre-diabetic, hasn't gotten necessarily worse, but it's been spurring in his mind because he's been talking to his colleagues who also have gone through diabetes and talking to them about how they had to go on medication because they didn't do anything. So now he's been contemplating it. And he's becoming aware of the pros and cons of making a change versus continuing. And that's his contemplation change. But he's still a little resistant. He's not quite there. So now he's experiencing some pain. So now he's feeling some tingling in his fingers and his toes, and he's talking to his wife, and he's like, all right, we got to make a plan for this because this does not feel good. And I just don't feel like I actually feel like something is happening here. And that's where he starts preparing. So he accepts now that he needs to make a change, and he starts preparing to bring it about by talking to his wife, right? So what's his action? So his action steps are what comes next. So you got to realize that all of this takes time, and it is okay to take time when it comes to making changes in your health. We tend to go from this to the end, and then that's where we do it for a week, if we're lucky, and then we wait till next year and do it again at the beginning of the year. So I want you to get out of that loop of starting things just to stop them, right? And sometimes slower is better, okay? Give yourself time to adjust to this. So what did he start doing? He started going for daily bike rides, and he switched out his, and the bike rides were really just around the neighborhood. It wasn't like miles and miles. It was just starting to get a little active. And he switched his bagel for a smoothie in the morning, all right? Because he's like, all right, maybe this bagel isn't really working for me anymore. It's affecting my sugar. And honestly, I'm not feeling good after I eat it anyway. So he started making changes. And then the maintenance part of it is you're doing the hard work of making the changes, but now you want to stay committed. And this is really where rituals can be beneficial in this stage because they are purpose driven, and it helps you recall your commitment to why you made that in the first place. All right. So you put something into place for a specific purpose, and that specific purpose was not immediate gratification. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. So once again, making small intentional progress every day will help make your cells strong and healthy so your whole body can thrive. Remember, your cells are communicating with you, and if you've got a symptom, you have to think about what that can be. So now I would love to hear who knows about the concept of neuroplasticity. Does anybody know about neuroplasticity? You can put in the chat if you've heard of it. If you haven't heard of it, that's also okay. No? Okay. We don't know what neuroplasticity is. All right. So that's okay. So neuroplasticity is that understanding that your brain is flexible and can grow with new experiences and stimuli, okay? So this was some research that, or the first research that came out of it was in the University of California in Berkeley, where Marianne Diamond found evidence that the brain is structurally and functionally can change. So it's both the actual structure, the areas in the brain, like the amygdala, which is your stress focused area or your emotional area, versus your prefrontal cortex, can all change with experiences. And knowing that means that we have some power over changing our brain with how we spend our lifestyle, how we surround ourselves, what we do every day. So with rituals, you can be flexible to your new experiences, and they set you up to rewire your brain in a good way, because you have this intentional thing that you're doing to get your health better. Let's see. So let me give you an example of what, like, you can't see what's going on in the brain when these neurons are communicating and talking to each other. But when you do a specific action or think a particular thought, your brain creates a neural pathway. So the example I'm thinking of is not necessarily in your brain, but say, for example, there is a field in your town where you like to go for walks. And that field right now has a tall grass in it. But so you can't really see a path very clearly. But then you start walking it, and then the next day you go back and that path starts getting clearer. And you walk this path for a week and it gets clearer and clearer. And then all of a sudden there's a path there. That's what's going on in your brain. Okay, so those connections between the brain is getting stronger and stronger. So now it's getting more established every time that action or thought is repeated. It gets reinforced and strengthened. Now, why is this important? Because if you are spending a lot of time with negative people who spend a lot of time complaining or gossiping, guess what? Those neuronal connections are getting reinforced and strengthened. If you're spending a lot of time with people who bring you down and don't make you feel good, guess what? You're not going to feel good. All right. So this is where I want you to really think about what you're doing in your life and what's serving you. Is there some support groups like the Life and Breath Foundation that you can spend more time with that are able to provide you with better neuronal connections? Is there some community that you can connect with? Is there an online group you can connect with? So, and it's not just the mental aspect of it. This is everything, right? So you might not be able to walk a mile yet, but you practice and it gets easier and it gets easier. And then you don't even think about it and you're at 2 miles, right? So this is part of your brain recognizing that you can do stuff, because we tend to stop ourselves before we even give ourselves a chance to do things. So I want you to realize that your brain and your mind is really flexible, and that's where that growth mindset comes in. I don't know if you were ever a kid where you had to do the pull-ups in gym class, and you had the kid who was like, I can't do 5, but I'm going to go home every day. And the mom put a swing set in the backyard, and every day he was practicing. So the next month when he had to go do it, he could do it. And then you had this kid who was like, I can't do it. And maybe he was surrounded by an environment where he wasn't encouraged to do anything. And that put him in I'm a victim mindset. I'm never going to be able to do this. I'm not going to be able to change my mind, and a very fixed mindset. And that's something that we might experience. And even if we experience that as a child, my point is neuroplasticity means that you can change the way your brain functions. You are not necessarily who you were as a child. You are flexible, and it's something that you can work towards. All right. So with that, the brain structure and function can change as a result of experiences and environmental influences. So if there is an emotion you're feeling that you want to change, have a new experience around it. All right, think about how you might be able to have a simple new experience. So now rituals in practice. Who's doing these rituals? Well, let's talk about a few famous ritual embracers just to give you some ideas. I am a tennis player. I love my tennis athletes, and so I'm always paying attention to some of the things that they are doing. So Serena Williams, for example, will make sure that her family and friends are sitting in the same seats in her player's box for each game. Why is she doing this? She does this to reinsure the site of knowing where they are, provides a sense of comfort and support. So you can imagine now you're Serena Williams, you're playing this game and the game's getting a little tough and you're feeling frustrated and you're kind of just like, all right, what's going to happen? She knows that if she puts her friends and family in her eyes viewpoint, that she looks up to them and that helps her get more centered, right? So that's a ritual she put in place to provide that comfort and support. And I want you to think about maybe when you go for your sarcoidosis appointments, it's very tense and you just feel very uncomfortable every time you go there. Maybe there's something you can do to create a better experience of that appointment, right? Maybe there's a lunch date you can have after every appointment that will give you a chance to kind of recalibrate yourself. Rafael Nadal, he's pretty interesting because he eats the same foods before every match. And then he also drinks water and recovery drinks in a specific order and places them in the exact same location by his player's chair. So if you ever look at his chair, the same drinks are lined up. And when he goes and he takes his breaks, he sips on the same thing in the same exact order because he knows how to fuel his body, right? So, he's taking that into account when he has certain days where he has to do extra activities. Now, who else? Oprah Winfrey. So what does Oprah Winfrey do? She starts her morning with 20 minutes of meditation. She says she does it because it provides her with hope and a sense of contentment and deep joy. Barack Obama, he rises early in the morning because he wants to make sure he gets morning exercise before the day gets really busy and hectic. One of our own sarcoidosis famous people, Karen Duffy. What does she do? She starts her morning with reading in her library nook. She does this because she wakes up with a lot of pain and it allows her body to kind of wake up slowly and assimilate with the day. So think about what is it that you can do in your day to kind of improve it a little bit so it doesn't feel like you need to do too much. Sometimes less is actually more. That's where I'm trying to explain to you that you don't need to do a 60-minute exercise class to get the benefits of a fitness routine. You can do regular 10-minute walks, you know? So we tend to make health very complicated, and I want you to simplify it so it becomes sustainable. Another one of our individuals, Josh. Josh was recently diagnosed with sarcoidosis, and he has found that documenting and tracking how he feels after medicine, exercise, and diet was a game changer for him. I'm sure he wasn't doing that before his diagnosis, right? So now he's found something. His ritual is really tracking, right? So he's got a tracker going on, and this helped him because it was overwhelming and scary, but it allowed him to stay organized. And that organization in his physical and mental space cleared up something for him, right? So do think about what is possible. Now, you might be thinking, all right, how do I perform a ritual, right? So a ritual is really, it's a personal thing. And you know, you might be like, well, what should I do? And I really want you to think about what is important for you right now, today. And you can change your ritual 2 weeks from now. You can change it a month from now. But the first thing is really identifying the goal. And identifying the goal is really understanding what it is you need right now. Like, do I feel like I need more energy right now? Do I feel like I need better sleep right now? Focus on one small thing. And then once you have that down, then you can move on to the next one. Don't try and do 100 things at a time. Then it will get very overwhelming. You won't feel good about it. Just do one thing at a time. It's the consistency, and that's going to be the most beneficial. Then after you identify what that specific goal is, articulate your intention. Having an intention gives you purpose. It enables you to plan for effective change, and it really aligns you with your goals. So I'll give you another example. I had a patient, and this is not uncommon, where her goal was to lose weight. And she said to me, I need to lose weight. This is what I want to focus on. And I said, okay, well, why exactly do you want to lose weight? And at first she was like, well, to look better. And I'm like, okay, is there any other reason you want to lose weight? And she said, really, I want to have more energy when I go on vacation with my husband, because he likes to do activities and I can't keep up with him. Right? So that is where she had a very specific intention, not one about her looking better. I had to dig a little bit deeper to get it out of her, but that was really what it was. So the goal was really strengthening her relationship with her husband. That's why she wanted to lose the weight. That was what was important to her. So I want you to think a little bit a little bit deeper about what's important to you. And then what we did was we chose a ritual to work towards that goal, right? So she would start going for 10-minute walks every day. After a month, she increased her walk time to 20 minutes. And she placed these rituals into her life so she could experience what she wanted out of life. So in the summertime, after work, she'd always drive by a park, and instead of going straight home, she'd stop at that park and walk for 20 minutes because nobody was going to be home anyway. She left work at 3 o'clock, so she might as well use that time. So this is really about going off of autopilot. I don't want you to be on autopilot anymore. So with that being said, I do always have some reflection questions, right? So these are guiding questions, and these are available for you in a journal that I created that goes along with my book. And these specific questions are for this chapter, which is, how would you describe your typical 24 hours in a day? In your average day, what kind of habits and routines do you already observe, right? Because we want to look at what we're already doing. When we wake up, how are we beginning the day? One of the newer rituals that I started is putting my phone on airplane mode, right? I have friends in many time zones, and having my phone go off in like all these different time zones was not good for my health. So I started putting it on airplane mode. So think about what you need. As you wind down for the night, what is your ritual? Are the rhythms of your daily life more a matter of habits, routines, or rituals? And are there any aspects of your daily routines you think could be enhanced by layering intentional rituals for well-being? And then, of course, we have designing your well-being, right? So this is really where we're putting a plan into place. I want you to kind of note your thoughts about where you might want to change up some things. Do it as a brain dump where you're just kind of putting all these ideas, and then you're making a plan of when these things might happen. With that, we really just touched upon the foundation of what's in the anatomy of well-being. Really like I said, I wrote this book because I want you to understand how your body works and what part of the body you have control over. So the book goes further into your mindset, your body as an ecosystem, how everything is connected. I know some patients talk about how their doctors don't understand other parts of their body and they have to go to different doctors. So I want you to understand how your body is interconnected, because guess what? Your gut is connected to your brain. Your skin is a representation of what's going on all over your body. Pain can be felt everywhere, right? It talks about nourishment and how to nourish your body, how to set up your home space, your emotions. We touched upon emotional intelligence, how to eliminate toxins from your body, what kind of movements you need to do, and really how to set yourself up for adequate recovery and sleep. So, and then with inflammation, just some quick tips is inflammation is definitely a problem for everybody. And I test it quite a bit on all my patients. I literally call it your body's on fire, right? And your cells are angry. If you're getting symptoms, your cells are angry. So you can increase your intake of anti-inflammatory foods, eat the rainbow, reduce and eliminate foods, processed food, sugar, and alcohol, move your body daily, optimize your sleep, manage your weight, stay hydrated with enough water. And then I think we have a link, a complimentary link for you to be able to download your own compendium journal so you can start keeping track of this stuff. And then, of course, if you want to read the full details, it is available in the book, and the book is available on Amazon. It's also paperback, hardback, and on Kindle. I really recommend the paperback version of this because it is 500 pages. And even if you do like 10 pages of it, your health is going to be drastically improved. And then you can connect with me at my website, social media. I'm Dr. Bhanote. And before I get to questions, I wanted to take a quick moment. Well, not a quick moment, because this is really a mindful moment. And we are towards the end of our talk right now. And I know for some people it's late in the evening and you're getting ready for bed. So I wanted to give you a intentional meditation so you can go into a restful slumber and really wake up tomorrow thinking about how to improve your health. So I'm just going to turn off my camera for a second because I don't want you to be distracted by looking at me, but let's see. All right. So I want to welcome you to this day, to this new opportunity to shine from within. And during today's meditation, know that there is a new opportunity ahead of you to connect in meaning, power, love, and truth. So if you aren't already seated, if you aren't already closing your eyes, take a moment to just settle in, close your eyes or lower your gaze if that makes you feel more comfortable, and really make your soul's purpose and your heart's passion the focus of your life. Soften your shoulders, close your eyes gently, and begin to relax in the experience. Let the quiet wisdom of your higher self and steady stillness of your heart hold you in love for the next few moments. Inhale deeply for 5 counts. And exhale for 6 counts. This time, inhale a bit deeper for a count of 5, and exhale slowly for a count of 6. As each breath becomes softer, deeper, and more relaxed, we are letting go more and more. Next time you inhale, imagine your breath warmingly and brighteningly flowing throughout the parts of your body. And then as you exhale, visualize the breath leaving your body completely. Allowing yourself to let go of everything that is not serving you so that you can create more space for light and love. Take a few more breaths on your own. Feel the relaxation seeping throughout your body as you allow your breath to find its natural rhythm. Continue to relax your whole body, including your shoulders, face, and jaw. Let's begin by setting our intentions from within. Take a deep breath and exhale the same way. Follow your inner wisdom to ask, what intention do I need today to connect powerfully, lead gracefully, and love deeply? When you exhale, let the answer settle in. Listen to your heart now, letting intuition ignite your wisdom. As we close your meditation, feel the weight of your body holding you, grounding you. Embrace the fact that all the answers you seek are already within you, waiting to lead the way with you. Feel the space around you, the ground beneath your feet, as you move your wrists and ankles, offering gratitude for the opportunity of self-care. Giving thanks to your body, mind, and heart. Thank yourself for showing up today. It is my sincere hope that you enjoyed your meditation and you feel that you can come back anytime. Taking your next deep breath, slowly open your eyes and allow the light to enter you. All the ingredients you need for a fulfilling life already exist inside you. I wish you continued success and inspiration from here on out. Thank you, everyone. I'd love to see what questions, if we have a moment for questions, if that's okay with Life and Breath. I know everybody's feeling calm and relaxed. I can see it in a few faces. I can't hear. All right, so let's see some questions here. Yeah, so you feel like you're doing too much. Yeah, so that's a good thing that you recognize that. So see where you can do a little bit less. Like, what is really important that it needs to be done? Is there something that you can delegate, that you can maybe give to somebody else to do? Or maybe there's something you've been doing that no longer serves you. So keep that in mind. Let's see. Yeah, start with small changes like breakfast, right? So if you're home at breakfast and that's the easiest place to start making some dietary changes because you know you need to work on your diet and you eat breakfast at home every day, do that. If you eat dinner at home every day, do that. Pick what's going to be easiest to start with to build that momentum so you can continue to do it. We want to build momentum here. Somebody says that they write down what they eat and how it makes you feel to keep on track. That's a great thing to do, right? Because sometimes we don't realize that how much food can impact our health, both our physical and mental health. All right, we have somebody who walks every day at 7 a.m. because getting it done early in the morning helps ensure that other things don't get in the way. That's really good, right? Because now you're prioritizing what you need and what's important to you. Let's see. Another ritual somebody has is a morning walk, but it's getting colder. So yeah. So either invest in a very, very warm coat so you don't give up on that ritual, or maybe make a little walking path in the garage or in the house, you know, where you can just walk back and forth. Yeah, so somebody's saying they need to organize their day better, right? So yeah, break it down. Start with just your morning. Once you've got that squared away, or actually I would say start with what's going to make the most impact, right? So if you're having trouble sleeping is obviously going to make a big impact in the rest of your day. So maybe start with a nighttime ritual. If you have trouble planning your meals and you are one of those people who likes to stop for fast food, maybe having a ritual around meal prep on the weekend could be beneficial. We all get busy, so think about what's going to be most beneficial for you to make your life easier. I really want you to consider rituals to make your life easier. It's not about making more work for you to do, it's about making life easier. All right, so somebody else is saying, I try to do all or nothing. Yeah, and keep failing that way. Yeah, so I want you to give yourself some grace and flexibility. We tend to be a lot harder on ourselves than we are on other people. So it's okay to fail, but I want you to recognize why that didn't work so you don't repeat it again and go, all right, I can do this, but this is how it's going to work for me better. All right, I think I got all the comments and questions. Oh, okay, we have a giveaway. I forgot about the giveaway. All right, so one person has won the signed copy of the book, and that would be Wendy, Wendy Schleiler. I'm not sure if I'm saying your name right, but Life and Breath will reach out to you to get your contact info. And I will be mailing you a signed copy of the book, and I really hope you enjoy it. Right. Well, I think that's it, Sean, unless you see any questions.
That's what I was hunting around, making sure we had everything. It's such a great discussion, and I see a lot of people that really found it very, very meaningful and got a lot out of it and felt it was great. So that was really good. Yeah, I think we just about got everything. Once again, Dr. Bhanote, this was special. Thank you very much for taking the time. Looking forward to really getting through your book and really taking advantage of some of these habits and rituals that you suggested. I've picked up quite a bit that I need to work on and will do myself, but I really appreciate you taking time to join us this evening.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. On behalf of the Life and Breath Foundation, again, this is our pleasure to be able to do this and provide this platform to be able to help the patients who suffer with sarcoidosis. Again, if there's individuals, supporters that that would be interested in supporting the foundation to be able to help us do what we do best, and really as we embark on next year, many programs that we're looking to create and bring forth are really done with support from you, support from sponsors and donors. Like I mentioned earlier, we're a volunteer-based organization, so anything you could do to think of us in the future, please do. And we look forward to seeing you guys very soon. We'll have this on replay also for you to be able to review Dr. Bhanote's comments and some of the rituals she shared with you this evening. Thank you very much again from the Life and Breath Foundation and Dr. Bhanote. We look forward to seeing you again very soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.